Hi guys, and welcome back here to Drone Emotion, a channel where we do drone videos and where we cover the most relevant drone news. Today my friends, we're back here once again with a brand new video, and that is because we have some brand new leaks regarding the DJI Mavic 3, and most importantly and more specifically, we got some images regarding the DJI Mavic 3. That is right, we have some brand new images for the shell of the drone as well as for the underbelly of the DJI Mavic 3. And in today's video we're going to be sharing all of those images with you and a whole more info you don't want to miss out on, guys. But before we get started with today's video, if you're new to the channel, welcome here, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because in this channel we will always be the first ones to bring you the latest drone news. And also we're in the road to 10,000 subscribers. So if you're watching today's video and you're not subscribed to the channel yet, I invite you to go ahead and hit the subscribe button and join the Drone Emotion family so you can keep up to date with the latest drone news, including the Mavic 3 of course, and also help us get to our goal, guys. So with that being said, why don't we go ahead and dive right into today's video, which is going to be quite exciting. Well, we finally have some brand new leaks regarding the DJI Mavic 3. It all started yesterday when Osita LB surprised all of us with a pretty interesting tweet that said the following: Mavic is still moving. And then accompanied by his tweet there was an image, and a pretty interesting one, guys. So there we have it. There we have the image, which looks to be like the Mavic 3. Osita LB does not specify if that is the Mavic 3 or not, but it only says that the Mavic is still moving, and we can only assume that it's the Mavic 3. And we'll then a couple hours later, thanks to Jasper Ellens, which is also a very reliable source, he had some brand new images for us. Now, the first thing that we can see with that image is the fact that the design looks quite similar to what we have been seeing previously with some previous sketches and the shell of the drone. The first thing that we can see is the underbelly of the drone. When you compare the Mavic 3, which is this supposed to be, with the Mavic 2 Pro, which is the current Mavic Pro drone, we see that the underbelly of the drone looks very similar, which that is a bit odd. And that is because with a brand new drone, we were expecting to see some brand new optical flow sensors and more in particular, but it looks like DJI has not added more optical flow sensors. So the first thing that we can see is that in the middle, that oval in the middle is our flash LED light right here in the bottom, which is what we find right here on pretty much all Mavic drones at the moment except the Mini. But these are LED light, and we can clearly see that with this picture. Now we do see two extra optical flow sensors, one on top of the LED light and one beneath it, and we can see our landing pads, which are pretty nice, well, just like we had found previously on the Mavic 2 Pro and the Mavic 2 Zoom. Now let's go ahead and talk about the legs. We're gonna be touching on the camera in just a second. We can see the LEDs. It looks like number 4, which that is what they're pointing at. It looks like those will be the LED lights, which are pretty similar to what we found on the DJI FPV drone, which was launched a few months ago. So it looks like DJI is switching the typical LED lights which we had on the Mavic 2 Pro and Mavic Air 2, which are nice and small. It looks like they will now switch from this onto a bigger LED bar right here underneath, which I personally really like, and I think it's way easier to spot your drone with the lights right here underneath rather than on the side, and that is based on my previous experience. And that is kind of like what we found on the Spark. I used to have a Spark and it was much easier to see than the Mavic Air 2. So I think that is a good choice on the Mavic 3. I really like that. Now let's go ahead and talk about the camera, because that is the biggest thing right here. As of this point right now, we still don't have a lot of info on the camera of the Mavic 3. The only thing that we know pretty much by a fact, and according to some very reliable sources in China, everything is pointing that the Mavic 3 will be having 8K. So be confident, guys, that the Mavic 3 will most likely have 8K. We're 99% confident that this will be happening. Now, aside from that, we really don't have any more new info. We really don't know if it's going to have interchangeable lenses or if it's going to be having a micro four thirds sensor. We don't know that at this point in time. But let's go ahead and take a look at that camera or the gimbal that we see on this image. So the first thing that we can see is the camera. It looks like the gimbal is rotated 360 degrees on the opposite direction. Now, some people have been suggesting that this could be like what we find on the Inspire series, that the camera is just hanging, just like what we see right here, and you can rotate the camera 360 degrees. And I think that does make some sense. Right here you can see that the camera is rotated 90 degrees instead of being right here. It's rotated right here 180 degrees, guys. So there we can see that. So definitely quite interesting that we see that on the camera. So at this point we can assume that the Mavic 3 could have 360 degree rotation on the camera, meaning that two persons can pilot the drone, one the camera and one other person can pilot the drone. So pretty interesting, guys. Keep in mind that the Mavic 3, and according to some very reliable sources, once again everything is coming from China, very reliable sources, everything is pointing, guys, and they have confirmed to us that the Mavic 3 will have a very heavy focus, and the main focus on the Mavic 3 will be that it's going to be focusing on professional cinematography and videography. So I think it makes quite a lot of sense, and I think it's very likely that 360 degree will be happening on the Mavic 3. Our source in China confirmed that the Mavic Pro 3 will strictly focus on serious cinematography and videography. So I think that could definitely be a very good possibility of that happening with Mavic 3. And now seeing this picture, I think it could definitely happen, guys. Now those were the first image that we got thanks to Osita LB. Now a couple hours later, thanks to Jasper Ellens, we got some brand new images for the shell of the drone. You remember when we got a brand new image last week, guys, of a person holding what looked to be the shell of the Mavic 3? Well, and we all didn't knew what was going on at that time because it looked to be real small. In fact, a lot of people were thinking that this could be the DJI Mini 3, and I mean the possibilities were 50-50. But today we got a comparison between the shell of the drone of the Mavic 3, what supposedly Mavic 3, and with the Mavic Mini drone. And I mean, I think this looks pretty serious, guys, and I think this confirms that the shell is definitely for the Mavic 3. So let's go ahead and take a look, guys, right here on the screen. There we have the first image. There we can clearly see on the bottom that is the Mavic Mini or the Mavic Mini 2, we don't know, and then in that dark gray shell is the one for the Mavic 3. So we can definitely see the size difference. I think right here we can clearly tell that there's a big gap difference between these two. So definitely I think that after seeing this, I'm pretty confident, I'm feeling more confident that this is really not Mini 3 but rather the Mavic 3. I think this is something very reliable, and I think this is definitely the Mavic 3. Now Jasper Ellens also is very confident that this shell belongs to the Mavic 3, and in fact he claims that he has seen some parts of the Mavic 3, although he cannot share it at this moment due to safety reasons, but probably we will get some images soon. But he's feeling pretty confident, and I mean, according to what he's saying, claiming, I think this is definitely the Mavic 3, and especially after seeing this comparison. Now we got a second picture of the shell. This is a more clear picture, very high quality. And now the picture that we got last week, we saw that the material of the shell, it looked like it was not 100% finished, and on this one right here we can see that it's 100% finished, and the finish on the texture of the shell looks to be like what we find on DJI drones that are sold in the market. So let's go ahead and take a look at that image, guys, right here on the screen. There we have it. So we can clearly see the DJI logo right there, and it matches to everything that we have seen at this point regarding the DJI Mavic 3, guys. So definitely These are great news. It looks like this shell actually belongs to the Mavic 3 and not the Mini 3, so that's definitely great news, guys. Now, those are all of the leaks that we have so far, so let's sum it up. We have 8K resolution that is expected to be on the Mavic 3. We can also expect some better optical avoidance, guys. I think that's definitely something that we will be seeing on the Mavic 3. I think there's no doubt about that, and keep in mind that everything that we're talking about is coming from some very reliable sources. Now let's go ahead and talk about what other things we can expect on the Mavic 3. Improved AI, there's no doubt about that. We're going to be seeing some better artificial intelligence as well as improved flight time. The current rumored flight time, guys, according to the guys over at Drone Excel, is 40 minutes, so definitely it looks to be like that will be the flight time. And now keep in mind that we're going to be having a bigger battery, and our source, the guys over at Drone DJ, they have confirmed that the battery will be fitted from the back of the drone. We have seen some previous pictures, guys, that have confirmed this right here on screen. They will have those images that match completely to the shell of the drone that we just got today. So the guys over at China, they have confirmed that the battery will be mounted from the back. Now that's very important because that matches with those images or sketches that we have just shared with you. So everything right now is pointing towards that this is actually the Mavic 3 and not the Mini 3, guys. So that's great news. Now, also do expect to see once again a Hasselblad camera and of course a variable aperture, guys. So those are all of the leaks that we have at the moment. Hopefully we should be having some brand new info and leaks pretty soon. We'll keep you updated. That's all I have for all of you today. Thanks for watching and see you tomorrow with a brand new video. Drone Emotion signing out.